Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bustlers, and everybody else in between throwing it down. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. The bye week is nearly done. Countdown to kickoff is on. I'm going to be breaking it down straight from the Strip of Las Vegas, Nevada, all week long next week, breaking down the big game. We'll be live at the MGM Grand Sportsbook at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, kicking it. It'll be a 2-hour show. So Monday through Friday, lock it in right here on the grid. We'll be posting a bunch of videos from Vegas as well, and we'll have a ton of picks for you. We've already started to circle quite a bit. I'm starting to get most of my work done. We've got breaking news from the National Hockey League. Connor McDavid wins the skills challenge. The chalk gets it done, and he really is that good. He really is. And I got to tell you, this thing was like a freaking marathon, man. All right? Like, it was too long. Like the NHL, I'm not going to criticize him because the format was pretty cool and stuff, but everything just takes too long. All right? Like, you know, this thing started at like 7. Fans have been there since like 6. It goes on and on and on. They got to pick up the pace a little bit, but Connor McDavid wins the skills challenge. And, man, like I said, it was a gauntlet of different events. And everybody did pretty well. There was a controversy tonight, and of course, we had to be part of it. David Pastrnak won the accuracy challenge at plus 500. We all celebrated. My Twitter blew up. I was counting the money, and I even looked, all right, they're going to pay me right now, and it was locked. They didn't pay us, and then a couple of minutes later, they overturned it. Like, you can't make this up. Like, you know, it's one of these nights tonight. Like, is it Friday the 13th? I know it isn't, but it feels like it is. You know, shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM channel 159. As tonight is a night. I don't like the term bad beat because bad beats are just losses. They're just bad bets. It's not a bad beat. You know, whether you lose by a half point or you lose by 20 points, it didn't win. So either way, I don't really like the term bad beats, but this is my night tonight. So Pastrnak wins the accuracy challenge at plus 500, but they overturn it due to VAR. They go to the video review and like, you got to be kidding me. And so then I'm like, all right, you know, I'm going to jump in on a little in-game NBA basketball. I take the in-game over 255.5 points, Pacers and the Sacramento Kings. They get to 255. I lose by half a point. I take in-game over 250.5 in Atlanta and Phoenix. They were at 147 with 147 left in a game. Like they were right there. They were 247. I needed over 250.5. There was 147 left. So I needed 4 points in a little under 2 minutes. They scored 2 points to end the game. Nothing but just everybody standing around, like just whatever. Teams like, it's absolutely pathetic. Like the NBA, that they quit like down 7 nowadays. Like, even if you know, and you know, it's one of those deals where it's like, listen, we're down 7 points. There's 12 seconds left. We're screwed, but just foul them and we'll just bomb a 3 after and see what happens. Because once in every, you know what I mean? Once in every 100 games or something, maybe you can come back. The NBA doesn't think like that. They're like, well, we're down 9 and there's 2 minutes left, so we're done. Like, the amount of tapping out that goes on is just like, you know, so frustrating when you bet these totals. Everybody's standing around. So this turned out into like a brutal night. You know, like I thought I got my money back. I played a bunch of skills stuff. As anybody to follow our picks, and I know a lot of you did online, we finished in second place in like 5 of these damn events. Like, we missed out like all the time by like just a split second here and 1 puck, whatever. Every damn one. Like the first 4, we finished in second place. It was just incredibly frustrating. And then to have Pastrnak, we thought we won a nice plus 500 bet, then we didn't. And then I jump in on 2 NBA in-games, and I lose them both by half a point and a bucket. Yeah, that's what we've been dealing with here this evening. And there's not a lot going on tonight either. Right, like, you know, it's NHL All-Star Week. NBA's light tonight as far as the West Coast is concerned. There's not a lot going on. College basketball, we do have a game coming up. There's a lot of stuff this weekend, but as far as right now, we're stuck in sort of that frustration zone. As far as in-game action is concerned, the Warriors are up on the Grizzlies 92-81 with 9 minutes left in the game right now. The Pelicans and the Spurs is a close one. It's 102-98 for the Pelicans with 6.5 minutes left. We got a really close one, too. The Magic and the T-Wolves, they're tied right now. 93-93, 7 minutes left. The T-Wolves are currently minus 2.5. The Raptors are getting killed. And the Nuggets and Blazers. Nuggets are only up 4 at the half right now, 59-55. Lighter night college basketball, although we do have a really high-scoring game going on right now between Butler and Creighton. It's 49-45 at the half. That's you're talking about high scoring. 49-45 at the half. They've put up 93 points. The in-game total right now with the break is 175.5 in this game. We'll talk college basketball. Steve Merrill is going to step up in it. We'll get into some NASCAR. NASCAR season's here. It's not an official race. They sort of start the season with this like showcase in Los Angeles of all places. I like it. It's a great idea. The Clash at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, home of the USC Trojans. They put a track down, and it's been a big success the last 2 years that they've done it. So Steve Merrill will step up, and then we'll talk college basketball with Steve, little Super Bowl props with Steve, NASCAR, Cam Stewart in the house. Joe Madden will kick it with us. We'll get to see what they think about the National Hockey League All-Star Game, and I should say games, whatever, you know what I mean, the tournament that's going down. Tony Finn kicks it with us. Rob Vino throws it down. Like I said, we got a full house. Big Card Julio kicks it with us as well. This is actually like the last Rage before the Super Bowl. We're going to be on, but it won't be Sports Rage. It'll be like special Super Bowl programming, Super Bowl coverage from Vegas. So this is it for all of our guests tonight. They're going to get their Super Bowl picks in, although Tony Finn will join us live in Las Vegas. All right, Tony is in Las Vegas. So Tony Finn will kick it with us live in Las Vegas next week. We've got a full, we're going to have a ton of stuff going on next week. Ton of great content, great guests, and hopefully winning picks as well. It's time to start pulling the trigger on these props. And in fact, I'm going to pull the trigger tonight on like 22 of them. Like during the show, after the show. That's why I'm kind of frustrated. I was hoping to like win tonight, roll it over, and just like hammer all these Super Bowl props right now. Listen, I'm going to be in casinos for the next week and a half, but at the same point in time, you want to, there's certain like obscure things you want to get in or other things the line is going to move. So we'll start to share some of the props that we're looking at. We've got quite a long sheet so far, and we're just getting started. All right, so we got Mick Aussie, speaking of sheets. Like I said, we're crazy booked tonight. The countdown to kickoff is on. The Friday Night Freak Show. This is SportsRage.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Thank you. I appreciate this. You want you one of these?
I'm good, KG.
You want your ginger shot?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I need some positivity today. I'm trying to cover this spread, and your vibe is off, G.
What's wrong with my vibe?
You got to get you one of these, G. Get to sip some of this positivity in your life, and boom! You see that? Spread's covered. Thank you, Mama. In a minute, G. Ha ha!
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Friday Night Free Show has begun. Countdown to kickoff is on. We've got a extremely packed show tonight, all the way through. Quickest 180 minutes in sports talk and television. The NHL skills competition was won by Connor McDavid, because of course it was. And unlike a lot of skill competitions, actually, this thing was like hard. Like, seriously hard. Like, it was like a marathon of events that went on and on from one event to another. And I swear, like, a lot of people dismiss this stuff and like, oh, I don't watch this stuff. But to me, watching this tonight made me realize just how damn good these dudes actually are. Like, the modern player. I love Guy Lafleur to death, but Guy, like, would have fallen in the corner, and, like, he would have been, like, he would have snapped his stick and said, this is stupid. I'm not doing this stupid drill anymore. And nine of them is too much. He'd be like, I take a slap shot and I score, but I'm not doing all of this. Like,
you're so right.
Like, they had, like, a hand one. The pucks were, like, this far apart. Like,
I know.
Like Kucherov's one of the greatest hockey players in the world. Dude, like, he hit the pucks, like, right away. He was, like, eliminated. Elias Pettersson is awesome. He did so well. He went through it, and then he crashed at the end of it. He fell. Like, it sort of was like, man, this is hard. And there was that dude, Connor McDavid, that was just good at everything. Like, every single one of them was like, so bang, good. Boom, bing, bang, perfect. I had Barzal, fastest skater. I lost out by, like, a millisecond to McDavid.
Yep.
I had Pasternak to win. He won. It got overruled, as I know a lot of you know that followed me on Twitter. But listen, we did give you the plus 600 for Connor McDavid to win the accuracy shooting, and we cashed that. So, you know what? We ended up getting our money back because of the plus 600, but I got robbed of a plus 500. Let's bring in Steve Merrill.
The best, too,
right
Gabe.
now.
Doug Gilmore's there. He's like, hey, Kucherov's. He's giving him practice feed. Bang, bang, bang. Didn't start yet. He's like, oh, yeah, thanks. Like, some of this stuff tonight, it was just like you said it, though. Some of these guys, these are the best in the world, and they look bad on some events. You're right. NBA guys would never go through this. They would never deal with how hard those competitions were. It was nuts.
And the competition was designed a lot by Connor McDavid, actually. Mm-hmm. He was the one that actually created a lot of the events, so I'm not surprised he dominated in them. Steve Merrill steps up and in. Steve, always good. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, and if I'd had that inside information that he was designing the events he was competing in, I would probably put a bet down as well. So I was going to say, not a surprise he won, but now it's definitely not a surprise.
Yeah, you know what, though? It's like, unlike the NBA, right, where like the slam dunk contest is a bunch of no-name dudes now, like in the old days, the top guys would do it, right? They weren't scared, oh, my reputation is going to take a hit if I don't win this thing. The NHL tonight, the skills, it's the first time, it's very NASCAR-ish. They gave $1 million to the winner.
Wow.
Right? So they've never done that before. And normally they just sort of have a bunch of dudes. They have stars, all-stars that participate, but they had like the top 12 all-stars type thing. You know what I mean? Compete for $1 million in a skills competition. But it was no joke, Steve. Like, there was literally like 10 events, bro. And they were hard. Like, guys were getting tired. Like, yeah, go get the puck on the other end. We're timing you back here. Shoot here. Stop this. Go around this, like Pepsi can. Like that, you know what I mean? Pepsi was the sponsor. They had these Pepsi cans all. Like, it was not easy. And McDavid cruised, but it made me think of $1 million for NASCAR, Steve, the All-Star race, right? And the drivers want to win that million, baby.
Well, they got the Clash this Sunday at the Coliseum again. I'm not sure what the payday is on that. It's a non-points race, but there's probably a pretty good payout for the Clash as well, I would think.
Yeah, let me see how much it is. They're not racing for free, I'll tell you that. So this has been a fun race here. It's been a success. Their third time back in Los Angeles. I think NASCAR needs to start getting out of the southern bubble more and into, more mainstream media markets. And it's received well. It's been a success. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be going back again. So what do you think about this race, Steve, as NASCAR season is upon us before they start racing for real?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't even dug into it yet. It's usually kind of random. We have to see if they're, like you said, that all-star race, a lot of times they'll invert the field for the final 20 laps, the stage racing, kind of a crapshoot. I think these are very difficult to handicap. I'll see if they have some practice time. But I believe it's a little bit like Bristol, isn't it, Gabe? It's a short track. It's banked. So Bristol's probably a pretty good comparison.
Well, Martin Truex and Kyle Larson are the favorites, along with Kyle Busch. It is a short track.
And they do great at Bristol, all three of those guys. So that's probably answering it right there, yeah.
Listen, anytime I'm getting 9-1 with Kyle Larson, I'm interested, Steve. Like, just point blank. Last year, he was kind of cursed last year to start the year, right? You know what I mean? He was running well. He just didn't win races. But he did as the year went on. But he's just so damn good. I'll tell you another guy, too, that was about to win, Steve, last year, actually. And things went bad for him late, was Tyler Reddick. He's 20-1.
Yeah, and I think those odds tell you right there what we're talking about. Like, the only other time you're going to see that is in a couple weeks of Daytona, right, where everybody is 9 or 10-1 or higher because of the randomness of the restrictor plate tracks. I think the fact that guys like Kyle Larson's 9-1 shows you once again this is kind of a random race. But with that said, the beauty is you can take 4 or 5 guys, and if one of them hits now, you get a nice payday. When Larson's going off at 3-1 or 4-1, it kind of limits what you can do in those races.
I'm curious to see how much they're getting. How much do they make? It's not like golf. They don't really show you the purses all the time before. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Here it is. All right. Yeah, it's pretty big. They have a prize pool of $2.85 million.
That's good.
Yeah, I was going to guess probably about $1 million to the winner. That would have been my over-under, but I don't know. So that would be pretty close probably.
Yeah,
I always wonder how much those guys keep. They usually keep about half, I think, don't they, Gabe? At least half the drivers.
The team gets half. Yeah, exactly. And then you get the sponsor deals and all that other type of stuff. But you're right. That's the whole thing, guys, with NASCAR. It's cool from the sense if you're betting on it, no one's ever mailing it in. It's almost like owning a horse cam. Like, they need to win. Like, these teams, like, it's not like golf. Like, if you know what I mean, where you're going to show up and finish in 38th and make a lot of money. You only really make money if you win. So, like, if you're not winning, it's hard to keep the car out there, Steve, right on the track, like, just point blank. Like, teams need
they're
to
fighting
win.
for every position.
Point blank.
Yeah, they're fighting for 13th and 12th on the final lap. You're going 200 miles an hour. It's kind of like an NFL game. You can't quite mail it in an NFL game. You're going to get your head knocked off, right? You're a hockey game as well. So that's the thing about NASCAR. It's a physical sport, and they're giving it their all. You do have those guys that are 6 laps down that are finishing 38th, but they're never in contention. You're not getting betting odds on them head-to-head anyway. So you're right. The top 10, top 20 guys are going hard every lap.
My guy Boris said He used to be sort of a race-by-race guy, right? Like he didn't have the funding,
ringer.
And if he could. Yeah, exactly, Steve. Road course ringer, great. And his line was, because he was sponsored by Red Bull, and he said, Gabe, sell more cases, run more races. He was like, buy Red Bull and tell him Boris sent you. Like he had a sponsor. That was his like, sell more cases, race more races. He goes, you got to buy my sponsor, guys. He goes, I don't have money like these. I don't have money like Dale Earnhardt. He goes, you got to support my sponsor.
Love it.
Well, that's like those 24 hours of Daytona and stuff. A lot of guys will race the Porsche series, guys that are in their 40s that have some money. And the joke there is you take 100,000 to make 5,000 or whatever. You're basically losing every cent you're putting into it.
Yeah, like horse racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. True.
Invest 10,000 and get 100 back.
That's right.
Congratulations, you finished in 4th place. Here's your check for 600.
Yeah.
Then you owe everyone and all. Then they
you
tell
made
you
20% back. You finished top 5.
No, not even.
They just sit with their hand out.
Then they tell you at the end of the month, you owe them money due to fees, right? Not everybody wins the Kentucky Derby.
The sucker's game.
$38-41-30-30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
favorite. I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. One thing I'll say about NASCAR, and we'll get to the college basketball and Super Bowl, is similar to golf, Oh, well, it's a little bit different because and I don't know if it's the same crowds. The sports fans are sports fans, but NASCAR is a Southern thing for the most part. And the NFL isn't massive in the South. Like if there's one part of of America that the NFL is not huge in, it's the South. They have college football, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the Alabama, you know what I mean? Like the Tennessee Volunteers are more popular than the Tennessee Titans are. Right, like you're not going to be bigger, like the North Carolina Tar Heels, like the Carolina Panthers or whatnot. Like there's certain pockets where it's not as big, but they get crushed, like golf, Cam, on Sundays against the NFL. I mean, you're going to get old people watch. I remember when I lived with my grandparents as a kid, my grandfather used to change a channel. I'd be watching football, and he'd tell me, "Hold on, I got to watch this tournament." It was like Lee Trevino and stuff. And like when I was a kid, my head was exploding, man. I was like, "I'm watching the Randall Cunningham game, like the Eagles game."
No Gary Player.
It was his house, and it was like, no, and he'd tell me, "I'll turn it back to the football. Don't worry, we're watching golf for a couple of minutes." He'd change it, boom.
He's the best.
You'd have to get up in the old days, but like a lot of old people, he'd pass out during a nap, and I'd secretly get up and turn it back to the football. I'd turn the volume down.
True.
But NASCAR, Steve, same thing. Like I'll follow NASCAR in the summer and stuff on Sundays. I like it. Sunday afternoons, you're only going against baseball, but then when the races get important and stuff in September, they're going head-to-head with the NFL, Steve.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly. The races that are worth watching, the playoff season in September and October, is like you're not watching it. The NFL's on. So, yeah, you're exactly right. And the answer is maybe weeknight racing, but then again, no one's going to go to the races. Although, as you and I have talked about, over the last couple of decades, the attendance, like a lot of these tracks, is cut in half. So if the attendance doesn't really matter anymore, maybe go to some like Wednesday and Thursday night races to honestly, to offset the football stuff.
It's a great idea.
It's like bowls, guys. Who cares how many people are there?
You're exactly right. I mean, bowl games are empty.
Great call,
It's TV.
Great call,
it's TV.
Great call. Well, the thing at the golf on Saturday, people were loving
the
it
UFC
too.
says Dana White. He goes, "I don't care if there's 4,000 people or 400,000 people. Fox paid us $100 million for content.
Bingo.
We gave content.
You got it.
The COVID races like UFC, they came back along with UFC before everybody else, and I'll always be grateful for that. I like NASCAR for that reason. There were no fans there for over a year. So it just depends on how much the TV money is worth. And I would think the networks would want it also because you've got no good sporting events on Tuesday night in October other than MAC football.
No, sort of like the college football. You're right. And let's be honest, too. A lot of NASCAR fans are older people that can go on a Wednesday and Thursday to Daytona or something if they wanted. You know what I mean? And get the RV out. And, you'll still get a lot of people. Like I said, I'm not NASCAR executive, whatever. But, I would just tell them, guys, the product is good. But nothing will ever change unless we change things up a bit. We've got to change things a bit, right? So, but it is what it is. All right, college basketball. We got one game coming up here tonight, guys. I'll throw it to you here, Steve, first. What do you think about San Jose State and Nevada? Nevada are 11.5 points. The total's 142.5.
Yeah, late night action. It's funny. I did the college basketball show earlier today with Rob Vino and with Brian Leonard. And I've been around since the 90s. All three of us have been handicapping for 25 plus years. And Brian Leonard broke down the Princeton game earlier. I was like, back in the day, we would have had 4 games tonight, the 4 Ivy League games. And then Rob came on and did the Ohio State-Iowa game. And I'm like, man, we have some good matchups now. One of the reasons is because the TV networks here, again, have gotten smart. And they've put in some good games on Friday when there's 100-plus games on Saturday. And Fox Sports 1's been doing a nice job of this, and they've got the third game tonight here at 11 Eastern, San Jose State, Nevada. They had Creighton Butler, which is finishing up.
Yeah, Creighton Butler right now is up to 187.5.
That's a good game.
187.5. 187.5 is the in-game total right now. Butler
wow.
Creighton.
That's nuts.
Yeah, Creighton and Butler are not. This is not your Brad Stevens Butler squad.
No.
They play pretty fast, and they've actually got a 1-point lead with about 11, 12 minutes to go here. I like Creighton in game here actually as well. I think Creighton will pull ahead. I thought they were worth a look pregame. And I like Nevada in this late game here tonight, laying the double digits. Thin air and altitude. We always talk about that. Nevada 10-1 at home this year, and San Jose State 3-8 away. I think it's a legitimate home court advantage tonight. And, you could play them a full game, maybe second half in game if it's close, because I think they pull away in that second half and win by double digits.
This is one of these nightmare situations. I want to jump in on this Butler-Creighton game, and my phone is not within reachable distance. I'm looking around.
Commercial break.
You got to get like for those kids, those tethers. You know what I mean? You just bring it back. Yeah, I'm with
We
you.
had those as a kid. You know, Gabe would have been on a tether as a child. That would have
Yeah,
changed
I
your life.
was.
Cam was. Cameron, you get back
Sneaking
over
into
here.
the arcade. Yeah, come back.
I have radar senses. One thing I will say though is I hate black phones. Like I want to get like a bright. I don't even care if it's bright pink, yellow, whatever.
I'm with you on that, Gabe, man. I've told
I've
people
never
that for
seen it.
ages.
I got a black desk here, so I'm looking around, and
I've got a black like gym
I
bag.
think I can't find
exactly.
it. And then sometimes I'm like, no, there it is. It blended in on my black fridge. Like I'm like, it blends
Put a
in
piece
with
of
everything.
that like bright yellow neon duct tape on your case or whatever. That's what I need to do too, because I had a red case for like 6 years, and I've got a black case now, and I can never find the damn thing either.
Need
Great
something that
light.
In my mind, I'm thinking, God, I'm like, where is it? It should be here.
No,
but
I
it's
lose
not.
it all the time. It's hard to find in seat cushions. You put it on things that blend. Black phones reek. I'm with you. I need like metallic. We need different colors, man. Who cares what it looks like? It's a disaster.
Buy a thing of yellow duct tape, and we'll share it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There should be little beepers on there or something too, like the
Phil
car you
Swift.
sort of hit your deep, 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 deep. You know what I mean? To find
I
it.
put that app on my. I put that Find My Phone app on my other phone, and it'll beep loud like when you need it. The problem is you got to have it on another device to set it off. Because if you don't have your phone, you have to have it on like a laptop or something. But that thing works pretty well. Loud.
All right, so 187.5 is the total, 69-69. We should note too that Creighton are already in the bonus right now of this game. So there's 11 minutes left, and they're going to be shooting free throws for the rest of the night. Butler are leading right now, 71-69. So this is the first time ever, Steve. It's hard to believe, actually, but it's the first time in college basketball history that we have 4 top 10 matchups in the same weekend.
So I'm
It's the
recording
first time since 1994 that there's 3 top 10 matchups on a Saturday, which I find hard to believe. And there's a top 10 matchup on Sunday, the Purdue-Wisconsin game. So that makes it the first time ever in college basketball history that there's 4 top 10 games in the same weekend.
Yeah, Gabe, I'm doing right after the show here, I'm going to record my top 25 video for Wager Talk TV, and I was going to try to knock it out earlier this evening, and I was going down the schedule list, and at the first half of the schedule, there were no top 25 matchups, and I knew there was the Purdue-Wisconsin game on Sunday. I was going to include that. I'm thinking, man, there might not be any head-to-head top 25 matchups, and then boom, 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 I saw them all, because the first one is until 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, Kansas-Houston, who by my records haven't played in at least the past decade head-to-head. And then we got Duke, North Carolina right after that around 6:30 Eastern. And then, boom, was it Iowa State, Baylor, Tennessee, Kentucky. Yeah, you're right. Some incredible matchups tomorrow on Saturday. And I've actually been doing some prep work on them right now. We're going to knock that video out after this. But it's a very deep card this weekend in college hoops.
So what do you think of the Duke and North Carolina game as we hit to back? For the record right now, the Houston Cougars are 2-point favorites, just for the record, against Kansas. In this game. Ever so rare you're ever going to see the Jayhawks as home court favorites, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, once again, the most efficient defense in all the rankings and metrics you look at. They always do a great job. And the big thing in this game, is obviously the tempo. They play extremely slow half-court basketball. Kansas is more comfortable playing fast. But I really think home court is worth something here. And Houston, the better team, the slow-down team, but home teams normally dictate tempo better. So it is really strange to see the Jayhawks as the home dog. It's pretty tempting on the surface.
North Carolina are 4-point favorites at home against Duke. The total's 151.5. I'm a big fan of betting the over of this rivalry all the time, especially when it's at Chapel Hill, too.
Yes.
Once again, tempo obviously is something we look at with both these teams. North Carolina always likes to play fast, and Duke will run with them. But here's what's amazing about North Carolina. If you look at the efficiency ratings right now, they're the 4th best defense in the country out of 362 teams. That's not something we've seen in years past. So that's the only thing that might give me a little pause on that over-under. I do agree. I think both offenses are solid. The pace will be fast. But North Carolina is sneaky good on defense this year.
Tennessee, 1.5-point road favorites at Kentucky.
Yeah, another situation where you have a live dog. I kind of lean towards all the home teams in these top 10 matchups. Tennessee, it's interesting, Gabe. 2 best defensive teams by efficiency ratings, Houston and Tennessee this year. and they're both slight road favorites. But
yeah, dude, the total's 160 here, Steve. They're not going to get there, and I'm an overbetter. That's too high. In a battle of like a game like this, dude, I just bet on South Carolina to beat on Tennessee. I took them plus the 14. I know South Carolina played a slower game. It was 63-59, but don't you think this total, you need a clean ride to get to 161? Look at the last Kentucky game earlier in the week. There was like the total was 160. It got nowhere near there.
Or just look at the two games last year. They played in January and February last season. We got to 119 and 120 in the two games, and the totals were 132 in both games. So once again, they went under by double digits last year both times.
All right, Steve, we got about 2 minutes here. What do you think about, you have any early Super Bowl props for us? This is the last time we're going to speak. We're going to be on the road next week. So do you like, what catches your eye in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I saw Rob and Teddy and I actually did the NBA show today on Wager Talk TV, and Rob said he'd be on later tonight with you, and I told him I would as well. And Teddy said he has a 2-hour session booked with you next week in Vegas. So I forgot you guys were heading that way. Until,
yeah, that's right. Me and Teddy reunited on Monday.
A 2-hour session. That's great. A session. Amazing.
And he sounded excited about it, Gabe. Not to say that it wasn't like he wasn't pouting. He sounded excited about it. So. It wasn't a bad 2-hour session. But yeah, I'm going to dig into the props more this week and next week. But as I say to people all year long, be careful. They're going to be correlated. However the game plays out is how you think it's going to probably play out. And I think that the Niners are the better team, but Kansas City might be that team of destiny.
Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news. Trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Pharrell
quarterback.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
You have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
in-game live.
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
that was
late night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like a 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's roll this. It's Sports Rage. I am Morency. Kicking it here on the Friday night Freak Show. Countdown to kickoff is on. We're now? Just 9 days away. 8 for those of you on the East Coast. Super Bowl 58, the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Really, to be honest, the bye week, you know what I mean? It hasn't been too Super Bowl heavy in the sports world. There's been so many other stories going on. NHL All-Star Weekend, people always complaining about something about the NBA on a daily basis, players, fans, and everybody else in between. Big news from the NHL, besides Connor McDavid winning the skills contest tonight. The one guy that makes the most money wins the $1 million. But the other big news, the NHL players will be returning to the Olympics in 2026. They've agreed to terms to play in the next 2 Olympic Games, 2026 and 2030, which is super cool. 2026 is in Italy. So they're going back to Italy, and we're going to get the world's best versus the best. And Olympic hockey with the NHL players really has been like the best hockey that's been played, actually. Right? We haven't seen it in 12 years, essentially, in the last 2 Olympics. But for those of you that haven't, it is just over the top good. And this is going to be like the best tournament of all hockey tournaments, because the rest of the world, it used to be sort of Canada and everybody else. It's not that anymore. Like Sweden could win, Finland could win, the U.S. could win, Canada could win, right? Like hell, the Czech Republic could win. Everybody is going to be stacked and loaded in this tournament. Speaking of stacked and loaded, let's bring in Mick Ossie before he gets loaded. That's why we have to bring him on early tonight. What's going on, Mick?
Before he gets loaded. Good.
Olympic hockey is awesome, especially when it's played in non-America or Canada, because the ice surface is bigger, as you know, and it's more of an entertaining game. But yeah, love Olympic hockey. I grew up watching it when I was a kid in Australia, so good on Bettman. He finally done something right, eh?
Yeah, you know what? If we're going to criticize him, you got to tip your cap to them. The players wanted to do it the last Olympics, and it wasn't just Bettman. Bettman works in conjunction with the owners. The owners didn't want to do it. There's a lot, basically it always comes down to money, right? And what it really came down to is insurance. Who's going to pay? And I understand NHL owners, like, not wanting their players getting hurt in the middle of the season. Like, I sort of get it. Like, if you look at the NBA is in the off season, right? It's the summertime. So it doesn't, the teams don't like it, but it's not on their dime. It's not on, you're not on the clock for them then, right? That's what they don't like about it. I've always said they should just play hockey in the Summer Olympics. Problem solved. You don't have to shut down the NHL. You play in the summer and whatever. Hockey's not a winter sport anyways. I mean, seriously, when do they give the Stanley Cup, Cam? In late June.
It's pretty hot outside.
Summertime.
Yep. Exactly. Summer. And they got the best ice guys in the world. You can make ice anywhere, man. It doesn't matter what the temperature is. You can figure it out. Come on. Let's go.
But it's like the NBA. The NBA and the NHL plays at the exact same time in the regular season, right? But they're deemed like a summer sport. So whatever, dude. If you played it anyways, like all the great hockey tournaments in the past have been in August and stuff. So you could do it in the summer. It would be revolutionary, but the Olympic Committee didn't want to do that. The NHL was open to that actually before, but it was the Olympic Committee that was like, no, we're not taking hockey out of the damn Olympic Games, the winter games, and putting it in the summer games just because you guys want to do it. But nevertheless, so Mick, what do you got for us? First things first, what's it like in Edmonton right now? You guys planning your Stanley Cup parade because you've won 16 games in a row now?
Hey, we're not like those stinky Leafs fans that win one preseason game and think they've won the Stanley Cup. No, people here are pretty cool. They're very happy, obviously, and they can equal the record, I believe, against Vegas, but that's a tough game. So 16 in a row, that's pretty amazing, especially when, fair few goals in hockey tend to be fluky and you can win or lose 1-0. So very impressive, absolutely. Real, especially after the rough start they had. Wow, it was terrible there for a while here.
No, I hope, listen, I hope it's going to be a fun spring in Winnipeg, in Vancouver, and in Edmonton, and in Toronto. Hopefully all these teams are able to do well in the playoffs. But I said this last night, Cam, and I stand by it. I'll be in Vegas on Tuesday night as the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights play. And I think Vegas is going to end the streak. I think the All-Star break is going to that, you know what I mean? They're coming out. The Vegas Golden Knights didn't have the best first half of the season, but wasn't terrible. They're still really good. But I think the Knights will start to dial it up a little bit. Like, you know what I mean, Cam? This is a big game coming out of the break. Oilers on a 16-game win streak. It's in Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to want to remind the Oilers, we're the champions, not you.
And Connor McDavid very busy this weekend. As you know, Gabe winning the competition, and he's there, family there, Draisaitl there, stars of that team. You're right. Vegas is a very, very good hockey team. Hey, they win that game.
Now they're going to have to fly west.
Well, you saw him. So these guys are not just doing like interviews and stuff. He was on the ice tonight. You saw some of the competition. Another thing, too, they win that game, Edmonton, then they got Anaheim. Then they probably will beat the streak. But, it should be a great game against Vegas.
And then they get the LA Kings. Okay, Mick, what do you got for us for the Super Bowl? What's your excitement factor for this game? You looking forward to this one?
Yes,
kind of tough
absolutely.
as a Bronco fan.
I think...
You got to be pulling for San Francisco.
Oh, absolutely. And 49ers one of my favorite teams growing up. So, yes, I absolutely hope the 49ers will win. And as I do every year, I give my pick now, 9 days before the game, like I did when the Chiefs beat the 49ers. I picked them by 10. They won by 11. So my calculation comes out to Chiefs winning by 6. I think they have the better offense. They have the better defense. 49ers have been very lucky to win both games. Absolutely they have. They were playing better earlier in the season. I hate to say it, and I really hope I'm wrong, and I hope this calculation is wrong. Chiefs by 6-7, I believe. They will win. They have more players with Super Bowl experience, the better quarterback, lots of factors. But and, of course, the extra item of who does the NFL want to win? Of course, they want Taylor Swift up on that stage after the game. Let's not kid ourselves. They absolutely do. And that media company that reported that Taylor Swift has made the NFL and the Chiefs $330 million. What a load of Cleveland Browns in our pants. Why do we believe exaggerated numbers? I guessed 50 million a couple of weeks ago. My mate guessed 20 million. 330 million. They just throw numbers out there and exaggerate, and everyone believes it except me and probably you.
It was. You know what that was? People are very smart nowadays, Mick. That number one. So number two, that story, if you actually read it too, like you said, how the hell does anybody know how much money the NFL has made? Like, because
exactly.
the NFL makes $300 million a week without Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're already making money. But what the actual story was, but they didn't word it properly, was that Taylor Swift has gotten the NFL $330 million worth of publicity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, free publicity, which is a rankable thing. Like, they actually do. You'll see this a lot. Like, from free, because you're getting free media coverage, social media hits, free media coverage, etc., and you're attaching yourself to this brand name. So that is the true story. They've gotten endless amounts of free publicity because of Taylor Swift, but they haven't made $330 million because of her. They've sold a couple of thousand Kelsey jerseys. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And even then, how many Taylor Swift fans are really buying Kelsey jerseys?
Exactly. Good point.
And I saw a thing the other day. It was 24% of Taylor Swift fans are interested in the Kansas City Chiefs and Travis Kelce. Like, so not all of them. It was like a quarter of her fans are like, yeah, I'm interested in her relationship and I watch because of it type thing.
Yeah.
But they're not making money because of that.
I get annoyed with the rubbish they tell us. Like, let's say a sporting event comes to Edmonton and they say, it brings in $200 million to the economy. And you start working out, okay, hotel rooms, food, ticket prices, cabs, restaurants, and I go, hang on, it's like a quarter of the amount. They exaggerate. Maybe extra people might come for the next 100 years. They build that into it or something. Then another story. This is you've got to be so careful. And I heard this twice this week, that a plane turned around because some guy was farting on the plane. I'm thinking, the whole world's gone nuts. The plane turned around in midair, did it? But no, it was taxing on the runway. So they just exaggerate, and you got to read articles in full before you retweet it or whatever, because we put up with so much rubbish these days. People lying and people exaggerating. It's out of control, as you know.
Mick Ossie
what a story.
on a soapbox here. All right, thanks, Mick. So yeah, walk us through your sheet here. How'd you get to a 6-point Kansas City win?
All right, well, some factors do not apply for the Super Bowl, like recent record, home field advantage. That doesn't apply. Better quarterback. Only item that you can have 7 points. Every other item you can have 3. I'm giving it to Patrick Mahomes, so 3 points there, but I hope Brock Purdy is a star. Injuries. Chiefs have got a few more injuries than the 49ers, so 1 point there for the 49ers. Coaching advantage, I'll give that slightly to Andy Reid and Spagnuolo and his mob. They're very good. Shanahan's good as well, but slight coaching advantage to the Chiefs. Who my favourite NFLers pick? Well, I heard who you guys pick, so that's equal at this stage. Turnovers in recent weeks, I'll give 49ers an advantage there. Chiefs an advantage with 1 point for more Super Bowl playoff experience. Absolutely. And then 2 points for who the NFL want to win. They want the Chiefs to win. They've been lucky because both the Ravens and your Bills blew it, so the umpires didn't need to cheat.
So you're saying Taylor Swift is worth 2 points?
Hey.
Yeah, she's worth 2 points. The other one 1.
She's worth 2 points than a point spread.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for letting me run through. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Everybody thinks there's a conspiracy about everything nowadays. But look, Vinovich did the Super Bowl last time. They have the same referee that did the Super Bowl last time these two they played, ironically enough. And he only called 9 penalties in the game. If anything, he's known for not calling penalties a lot in these big games. For the record, that's one of my props, actually. Under 10.5 accepted penalties in this game. You have 2 disciplined teams. Like I said, last time they played, there was 9 penalties in the Super Bowl between them. And they're not calling a lot of penalties in the NFL. Like, unless you do something stupid like Baltimore did last week 5 times in a row and start punching people in the face and stuff in front of the ref, they're not going to call it, right? They don't call pass interference much. They haven't even in the regular season in the last, 2 months of the season. So that's one of the props I do like a lot. Under 10.5 penalties. No one's going to give you that one. You know what an octopus is?
What's that?
Cam? Octopus.
What okay, what's an octopus?
Will there be an octopus in the Super Bowl? This is a new one they're adding to the market.
Okay. 8? What is it?
And there's only been one. It's only happened once in the Super Bowl ever. It actually freaking happened last year. It's 13-1. An octopus is the same player scores the touchdown and then gets the 2-point convert after.
Ooh, I like that.
Jalen Hurts did it last year in the Super Bowl.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news. Trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell,
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
$93-92 for Butler right now. The Butler did it. 93-92 over Creighton. 150 and counting left in this basketball game. They just scored again, 95-92. I jumped in on an in-game over 194.5. Just for the record, I wanted to take it at 187.5, and I couldn't find my phone at the time. I found it during the commercial break, and I had to bet 194.5. So if I lose now because of this in between, which I probably will actually, I've lost a couple of bets tonight by 0.5 point and 1 point with in-game betting already. But mixed guy Connor McDavid saved me by winning the accuracy challenge tonight at plus 600. He won the whole damn thing, but I didn't have him to win it all. He was chalk. But I did take him. I was like, he's going to win a couple of these events. But it was pretty sharp capping it. I got the right one. That I got in on the one that he won at plus 600. So what's your final score, Mick? What's your sheet say here after all the thinking and plotting that you've done, scheming?
Yeah, look, we all know the game can be close, and it's one thing that might determine the outcome of the game. We all know that, but it's great fun talking about it. I'll go the Chiefs 27-21, so that's 0.5 point over the number. But like I said, I hope the 49ers do win. I really do. Couple of prop bets. Here's a nice one. Going to overtime. Plus 900. That's some juice there. Second half higher scoring. I like that one at minus 110. And you mentioned this one, the first offensive play of the game. Well, that's probably going to be a run, isn't it? And multi-touchdown scorers, Pacheco plus 400, Debo plus 800. There's a bit of juice there in those two, but be careful with prop bets. They're hard.
I like, thanks for paying attention, Mick. As I did talk about the first play of the game, rush being a rush attempt. I think either team, the Kansas City want to run the ball on San Francisco. You can run the ball on them. They're going to give it to Pacheco. And they don't want Purdy to throw a pick on the first play of the game. They're just going to hand it off to McCaffrey.
Got to warm them up. Warm them up a
bit,
for sure.
Teams are usually safe, man. 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls have started off with a rush in the Super Bowl. 4-1 last 5.